You're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort. You get your first purple split. Now what do you buy? This is Plank 2G's Chambers of Xeric Gear Upgrade Guide. This video is merely a suggestion. Please take into account all other activities you do in RuneScape, as what's best for the Chambers of Xeric may not be exactly the best for what you do. Hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so that way you can get notified whenever I come out with more Chambers of Xeric guides or I release new update videos. In order to know where we're going, we have to know where we are now. I am assuming that you are using Void, Tentacle Whip, Blowpipe, Trident, Dragon Sword, and a Bandos God Sword. I'm also assuming that you have untradables such as the Salve Amulet Enchanted Imbued, as well as Ava's Accumulator. So, where do you go from here? In order to get you out of Void, we have to get you a few essential items first. You need a Fighter Torso, Blessed Dragonhide, and Arams. Anything less than Arams is not worth it, except for Iron Man. As of July 2020, it'll cost you roughly 4.3 mil plus 1 to 4 hours of your time to get out of Void. So now, let's go on to some more advanced gear upgrades. This is roughly a 3 to 6 month old infographic from the We Do Raids Discord. Shout out to them for making this. This infographic does not take into account if you do any other content in the game. This is a quick, easy, simple graph for you to follow for your upgrade path of the Chambers of Xeric. Again, please bear in mind if you do other content in old school RuneScape, your upgrade path may not look exactly the same. But there are a few things that I do recommend. I do recommend always buying things that can permanently upgrade your account, such as the Rigor and Augury Prayer. Zenites are always a welcome improvement to an account as well. But I would definitely prioritize ranged improvements, as the guide here says. The reason being is that most of the rooms in the Chambers of Xeric are ranged based. Mystics, Vasa, Vespula, Vanguards, Tightrope, and Ice Demon, as well as Olm's Head Phase, all have range components in them. Take note of where some common expensive items are in this graph. Items that are staples for most main accounts such as Armadillo, Bandos, Prims, Pegs. Those items are toward the end of the list. It may seem really odd, but this graph is aimed at improving your DPS in the Chambers of Xeric, not improving your defense and not improving you anywhere else in old school RuneScape. Simply at the Chambers of Xeric. Before I really got into raiding, I did a lot of Warcath, so it didn't make a lot of sense for me to own a Dragon Warhammer, but it did make sense for me to own a Dragon Hunter crossbow, because that's how I made most of my money. And because I owned a Dragon Hunter crossbow, I didn't need to own a Dragon crossbow. Equally as important is upgrading your magic and ranged at the Chambers of Xeric. The reason why these are almost equally as important is because at Ulm, you're either using melee or magic. Unless you are consistently melee skipping, I would just focus on upgrading your magic. This is also where I throw in a caveat of putting time and money into levels over gear. 99 magic is not too terribly expensive compared to upgrading your magic gear to Ancestral. A Dragon Hunter Lance is one of the first things that you should buy. If you want to get out of the Tentacle Whip, you can buy a Zamorakian Hosta in the meantime until you can fully buy a Dragon Hunter Lance. The Hosta is a stab weapon and a crush weapon, so it will hit a little better on Ulm because of the stab, and it'll also double as a crush weapon for Tecton. A third perk is that the Zamorakian Hosta will also serve as a stab weapon at Vasa, meaning it will save you an inventory space. If you notice, there is no Bandos Chestplate in the upgrade path. That is because your Fighter Torso has the same strength bonus as the Bandos Chestplate. That 1 to 4 hours you spend at Barbarian Assault saves you roughly 20 mil. There are much better things that you can spend 20 mil on for DPS in the Chambers of Xeric. Think about it. There's not a whole lot of places where you can even make 5 mil an hour consistently. So this is where I leave it to you. I leave it to you to assess what you do in old school RuneScape on a regular basis. Take into account how often you really raid at the Chambers, what roles you primarily do at Ulm, and Make purchases that make sense for you and your account. I love to do raids, so I followed the upgrade path pretty clear cut. But if you don't raid all that much, do what makes sense for you.